There we go. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Codex Station's Comic Character of the Week, where we're doing that deep dive on one character, giving the badass moments, the must-read stories, top covers, so much more. I'm your host tonight, Sal the Slab Guy, coming to you from the Slavatorium. Joining me down below is Dan the Kelly Art, and of course, right over there is the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo!
And what night would not be complete without this guy right here, J-Dub. How you guys doing?
Doing A-okay.
You're doing a lot better without these allergies.
Yeah,
I'm
feeling you
here.
on that. I'm feeling you on that.
I'd be doing a lot better with my notes for tonight's show.
What's up,
Hey,
Liz?
Liz.
Hey, Liz, how you doing? How you doing? All right, so we want to go ahead and get some business out of the way right away here. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Once again, I said I'm your host, Sal the Slab Guy, and when I'm not here on Codex, check me out on YouTube. It's under Sal's Comic Corner or Instagram as Slab Guy 77. Next week, I will have a new mail call for my channel. I got some mail. I got some stuff in the mail which I have not opened yet, and some other stuff. And of course, there may be a slab or two in there. So stand by and check that out.
Is there a chance for them to be a Venom?
Maybe. I can't say 100%, but maybe.
Yeah.
All right, down below is Dan the Kelly Art.
Which means that he orders so much stuff he doesn't know what's coming in. He orders it and forgets about it.
True, and I am old and I forget stuff. Well, Dan, why don't you tell them where they can find you?
I think they know at this point. Just go to
They
Instagram
do.
and look for Dan Kelly Art. It's got a little picture that says Dan Kelly Art.
And
There we go.
if you commission him right now while he's suffering from allergies, he may sneeze on whatever he's commissioned, and you'll have Dan Kelly Art and DNA all at the same time. So
You can clone your own Dan Kelly
You
art.
can grow your own Dan Kelly. Yep. It'd be like sea monkeys. You can grow your own, civilization with Dan Kelly's DNA.
It'd be like what they just did with that 100 humans versus a gorilla, but 100 Dan Kellys versus a gorilla.
Well, there you go. That's not terrifying, but also terrifying. Okay, so right next to him is the Ric Flair of comics.
Woo! Thank you. I appreciate that. You can catch me at Comic Logic, man. I'll be there every Wednesday getting my weekly fix. We get that 4-color ink. We get it injected right in there, baby. I told you before, reading comics make you strong. Coming to Comic Logic makes you strong. We've got 3 big events coming up. Actually 4 coming up, but this weekend, Free Comic Book Day. Free Comic Book Day is Saturday. And we will have a special guest, Diana Lee Insanto, who is martial arts royalty, the daughter of Daniel Insanto and the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. Doesn't get any more royal than that. She will be at Comic Logic signing autographs. She was in the Star Wars series. Sal is coming to get a couple books signed by her. So please come see her. You don't have to get books signed. You can have. What's really cool is Mighty Mike Harbor of this channel has a picture of himself with her father, Daniel Insanto. So he's going to bring that to show her, and I know that's going to make her day when she sees that. So that's going to be pretty damn cool. So come see her and get your free comics all on the same day. Then 2 weeks after that, we have our Spring Lot Con. It's on a Sunday. That's Sunday, May 18th, where we turn our parking lot into a mini Comic Con. We'll have comic vendors. We will have local artists, local authors. We will have toys. We will have apparel. We will even have a tattoo artist for you to get your favorite tramp stamp. It can be done right there on site. Rob gets a new tattoo every time. So who knows what he'll get this time. So anyway, come get your tattoo on LotCon. We'd love to see you there. And then the week after that, on 2 weeks after that, on May 30th and June 1st, we'll be set up at the Big Lick Comic Con at the Dulles Expo Center. Comic Logic will be there. A lot of other vendors. It's a nice mid-sized con. So please come see us there. And then one more special event the week after that, Sunday, June 8th, we'll have the one and only Mr. Calafori will be at our shop signing books. He'll do if you buy a blank sketch cover, he'll do quick sketch covers for you for free, and he'll be selling copies of his creator of self-published book, Ned, Lord of the Pit, volumes 1 and 2, and 2 just came out recently. So I look forward to picking that up. So come see Mr. Jim Calafori at Comic Logic in our shop on Sunday, June 8th. So that's a lot, but we'd love to see you. So please come on, head over there, come see us. We'd love to make your acquaintance.
And if you go to the Big Lick Comic Con, make sure to go up to Rob and ask him how much candy he bought.
Yeah.
Now, Rob is a candy freak, so he won't let you have any, but he'll tell you how much he bought. So there you go.
They have a giant candy spot that sets up there.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be there this year. If not, I don't know what Rob will do for sugar. So he's got to keep going somehow through the weekend, or he gets jittery. So
a bag of Domino sugar.
There you go. Also, we want to give some love to Comic Character of the Day. That's a site that was founded by Archduke Kevy, and Dan has been running it lately and posting a Character of the Day, a random panel of the day, question of the day. I've been a little lax lately, but most of the time I'm posting covers of the day. But when I'm not, Talking Geek is there to do covers of the day. And Talking Geek, if you're in the chat, let us know, because I did receive that special item that I picked up at Comic Logic yesterday, and I don't want to show it or reveal it till I know that you are here live with us. So thank you for that, sir. And let's kick it back up to the man who started this shindig, whose fault that it is. It's his fault that we're all here together, because he had a vision one day of building a network of like-minded comic people that could spew their unending comic knowledge to you, the people that love this medium. So the one, the only, the man with a hell of a vision, the master builder, J-Dub.
Thank you so much for that. So, this deal. You can find us at thecodexstation.com. If you want to stop shop for everything Code X, get some merch, meet team, let us know what you like and don't like, and find us on all of the
socials that we're dripping with. Absolutely, positively infected and dripping with all the socials. And we have nothing better in mind than to give them to you, baby.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So are you guys ready to kick off this show?
Real quick, I gotta say something.
Oh,
it made me
sorry.
Something made me giggle this week. And so if any of you guys are wrestling fans out there, there was this teaser promo, right? With Eric Bischoff, who ran WCW originally, and Hulk Hogan. Okay. And they're starting a new promotion or something along the lines. But the thing that made me laugh the most was I looked at Hulk Hogan and went, Uncle Gary could take him. His arm shrunk so small. In my back of my head, all I could hear is, Uncle Gary can cut a better promo and probably whip his ass. So I was just like, dude, he put up his arms. He's like, these 22-inch pythons. I'm like, they shrunk down to 15s, bro.
That all he's got? He doesn't have all that anymore?
You don't got all that no more. It's just a headband full of nonsense.
Wow.
Not that I can talk.
Well, when you get old, I think that happens. And then I wonder if, not taking the steroids, contributes to that either.
Well, they were supposed to make that movie about his life, and Chris Hemsworth was going to play him, and then it got canceled.
Yeah.
They say Hemsworth was just too big and too buff to be Hulk.
Yeah. They're like, you're taking all the steroids. You are too big.
If you look at pictures of Hemsworth that he posted when he was training for, like, damn, he's even bigger than when he played Thor.
Yeah. Wow. All right, now I'm ready.
All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, stick around for 1 minute while we have this fabulous intro. Stand by.
Standing.
Whiskey, Oscar, Mike, Bravo, Alpha, Tango. Whiskey, Oscar,
I feel triggered.
Yeah, I was like, I'm about to just punch my screen.
Wow, I feel triggered. I feel like those are certain safe words.
So,
Just give me a
Mission
second
report,
while I go get my
December
arm from the
16th,
dishwasher.
1991.
Yeah,
yeah.
and
That
my
little-
safe word is Rumpelstiltskin if we need it.
That little bit at the end is actually a live Russian number station. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Keith.
Beast. Love it.
Well, Mr. Keith, just to let you know, your stuff is shipping out tomorrow. I did get your email, so I have everything. So,
All right, very good, very good. Well, folks, welcome to the Codex Station, where the place here where comics live, they breathe, and they hit harder than a vibranium arm.
Wow.
Today we're diving deep into the transformation of James Bucky Barnes from Captain America's teenage sidekick in the Golden Age to the cold-blooded Soviet assassin known as the Winter Soldier. We're talking Black Ops, espionage, redemption, Manchurian Candidate stuff, and what happens to sidekicks when they grow up in the darkest ways possible.
they shoot
grab
heroin.
Grab your
Oh.
blanket or something comfortable, and let's punch our way in, because the Winter Soldier is more than just a metal arm. He's one of greatest comebacks in stories and comics.
Okay, I'll buy that.
All right, Dan, you are up. Give us the intro and all the goods on this guy.
All right. Well, he first appeared as Bucky in Captain America Comics #1, March 1941, created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby.
No problem.
And then he later first appeared as Winter Soldier in May 2005 in Captain America. I believe it was Volume 5, Issue 6, created by Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting. And for the longest time, what was the saying? It said nobody stays dead in comics except for Uncle Ben and Bucky, and they brought Bucky back.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But his real name is James Buchanan Barnes Jr., and him and his sister Rebecca grew up as army brats. Their mother died when they were very young, and then their father died when their father died during a training exercise. They were adopted by his colleague, Major Sampson. Remember that name because it is absolutely not important in any way. And that is the only time you hear it on here. But remember it anyways.
On the next comic character of the week. No.
So Rebecca is sent away to a boarding school, and Bucky stays at the camp there, Camp Lehigh, in our own backyard in Virginia, and becomes its unofficial mascot. And then over the years, as he gets into his teens, he becomes very adept at smuggling things in and out of the base for the soldiers. And he befriends a private named Steve Rogers. Then Bucky finds out he's really Captain America and becomes his sidekick with the creative name Bucky.
Bucky.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Towards the end of the war, they were trying to stop a drone bomb that was launched by Baron Zemo. And while trying to defuse it, it blew up. And that's what knocked Cap into the ice where he was frozen. And Bucky was seemingly killed, though it turned out he was rescued by the Russians. It had blown his left arm off. So they replaced his left arm with the cybernetic one, and they brainwashed him and gave him some additional training. And then they started using him as their assassin that they would bring out over the years, called the Winter Soldier, who really just became kind of an urban legend among spies, over the next few decades. Power-wise, he's a master of hand-to-hand fighting, trained by Captain America. He's a master of military weapons, fluent in many languages. The cybernetic arm that he has superhuman strength and reflexes and can emit an EMP. And then he also has enhanced vitality, strength, speed, reflexes, stamina, and endurance from ingesting the Infinity Formula, which is the same thing that Nick Fury and Dum Dum Dugan and some others have had that has kept them younger than they would normally be given their age.
All right. I didn't know that was the end of
Now
it.
here's where one of you talks.
Oh, all right then. I will talk. All right, so that leads us to our next segment of what works best with this character. And I'm going to say, Uncle Gary, why don't you start here? What works best for you?
When he's dead. No, all kidding aside, I thought that Bucky was one of those ones like Uncle Ben that shouldn't come back anymore. And when they first brought him back, I wasn't, I thought, nah, they shouldn't bring him back. But I was won over because the stories were so great and they did such a great job. And this has become such a really fantastic character. And much the same way, there's a parallel between that and Jason Todd for me. I thought Jason Todd should not come back, but they brought him back in such a great way that he's become such a great part of the Batman family with Red Hood. So,
and right about the same time, they brought them both back.
Yeah. So I think there's quite a parallel between the resurrections of those two characters, even though, of course, Bucky's much older and been dead much longer. But I mean, they did such a great job bringing them back. And the Winter Soldier is such a fascinating character. And, I love to read the retro tales with, Bucky with Cap and Bucky with, so it's kind of twofold. I like especially since they've leaned into the with the Winter Soldier storyline where they made him an assassin. When they started doing that, they started kind of revamping what we knew about Bucky, and they made Bucky as a little bit of a covert operative in some of the old Captain America stories where he had been trained in a little bit more deadlier ways than Cap had been trained, with sniping and things like that. So I like the fact that Bucky is, that they've given him more of an edge to the character that we thought we knew all the time and made him a little bit more of a real hard ass, even as a teenager. So I like that aspect. I really like the Winter Soldier who's awakened and he's realized that he's been brainwashed and messed with all these years. And I love the redemptive arc that James Buchanan Barnes has had to go on to clear his name. I mean, not to clear his name. He can't clear his name, but just to make amends for the things that he did.
Clear his conscience.
Yeah, when he was not in control. So I love that. I love that guilt that rides with him all the time and the stain of what he has done that's on his soul that he's got to cleanse. So I just think that's a great chip on his shoulder, that he's always got to carry with him. And I like the angst and the edge that the character has because of that, because he knows he's got so many wrongs to right, even though it wasn't his fault. So I just love that external and internal angst of the character.
All right, very good. J-Dub, how about you? What works best for you?
I think when he's used as the weapon that no one wants to admit that they need. I think Bucky shines when he's in like that Nick Fury world, Black Ops, moral compromises, secrets on top of secrets. He's like the MCU's answer to Jason Bourne meets the Punisher, in that contrast. But with more internal conflict than he would have. Whether it's doing sneaky infiltration missions, assassinations, or saving the world in morally murky ways, I feel like that's more of his lane than more seem to think. So.
Okay. All right, very good. Dan, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with Gary. When they announced that they were bringing him back, I was like, what? This is going to be stupid. And then I read this book and I'm like, I was like, there's no way they can bring Bucky back and it can't be absolutely stupid. And it was brilliant.
Yep. The
way that they explained it, I went, okay, I could see that. And, that's pretty cool too. The whole thing where they would have, like have him in cryo freeze and just like wake him up whenever they needed some super, like super important or super difficult mission done throughout the years, the decades really. And that he had really just been this like urban legend among the spy community. I thought was a really interesting way to bring him back. I like, like you said too, when he's working as a spy, he's willing to go further than Captain America is. Because they both served together in World War II. They came up at the same time, but because of all the covert stuff that he did, because of working as a spy, and all this, he's willing to do things that Cap just isn't willing to do. And sometimes that's something we need. And I absolutely love the way that they've handled him in the MCU. Sebastian Stan was just
Mhm.
perfect casting. And I remember again when they cast him as Bucky in the movie, I was like, Sebastian Stan is like the frat bro from Hot Tub Time Machine. I was like, what the hell is Marvel thinking? It's gonna be terrible. And then I saw the movie. I went, okay, yeah, okay, he's really good. And I
Mhm.
read something a couple weeks ago that I thought was really cool, that whoever it was, for casting or whatever for Marvel, I guess Sebastian Stan was having trouble getting roles and was thinking about like, oh, maybe acting's not for me. And then he got the role of Bucky, and one of the casting people told Kevin Feige, they went, he's going to be a really good Bucky for you, but he's going to be a great Winter Soldier.
Nice.
He was a good Bucky, and then in Winter Soldier, when they brought him back in the second movie, it was like
That fight scene is the best thing ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, the Winter Soldier is, in all the MCU movies, a lot of people consider that to be the best movie.
Yeah.
You know?
It's my
And
top
if not,
tier.
yeah, and if not the best, one of the top 3, top 5 MCU movies. It's, and a big portion of it is him. And I like the arc that they've had with him in the movies, kind of, similar with him trying to get this redemption as he's gotten in the comics.
Yeah, definitely. All right. For me, yeah, I agree with you, Dan. The MCU version of him was perfect. I think it was well done, and I enjoyed every minute of that.
What was it in Civil War when him and Falcon are sitting in the car?
Yeah.
And he's in the
Move
back
your
seat.
seat. Can you move your
Move
seat
your
up?
seat, like,
No.
Yeah, like, can you move the seat up? Falcon says no. Bucky just goes, I hate you.
I hate you. Moves over. So in the I'll even go a little bit expand on that. The Falcon and Winter Soldiers that was on Disney Plus was amazing,
Yes.
and they had a thing of that where can you move your seat?
They're
It was
reversed.
reversed. Yep. It was great. So yeah, but in the comics, yeah, I like the whole redemption thing. I like him best when he's off the grid and he's like a chaotic good, type situation where you don't know what the hell he's going to do. Nobody knows what he's going to do, but he's going to do something, and it's going to cause chaos and eventually be good. But it's just one of those things where when he's off the grid and he's got nobody telling him what to do. He's going about things his way and the way he wants to do it, and that's what I love. And the whole spy Noir thing with that's just awesome in the storylines as well. I can't echo that enough. So yeah, that's what I like about him. So let's go ahead and jump to our 3 badass moments.
Well, I was going to say,
What's
which one of those Tom Clancy, Jack Ryan movies is it? It's one of the 2 with Harrison Ford, where they've got like the covert kind of military team that they're going to send in for this mission, and they're out in this field, for the training exercise, and they're kind of looking at them and looking, and they can't find them anywhere. Then they just go, tell them like stand up, and then you just see these guys like appear out of nowhere. I think something like that would be, is kind of how Bucky works. Like you don't know he's there, until
it's too late
to reveal himself.
Yeah, or until it's too late for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is our badass moments. Dan, do you want to go first for badass moments today?
Yeah, sure. So, Uncle Gary said something about how they've changed, or revealed a little bit more of him in World War II. So, a series that I know that we all like that unfortunately just ended in Hell Hunters, in issue 4, when they kind of bring Bucky into this like ragtag team that they're assembling, and this is teenage Bucky in World War II, and he's sitting there kind of complaining and pouting, and Wolverine's like, "What's wrong, kid?" And he's mad that they won't let him cut the ears off of Nazis that he's killed anymore, because he had them all. And it kind of reminds me of Dolph Lundgren in Universal Soldier, when he's like holding up the necklace, the dog tag thing with all the ears. He's like, he can't hear you, but he's mad that they're not letting him cut, essentially scalp Nazis anymore that he's killed. He's kind of a loose cannon in it. And
real fast, because I love that series, but Wouldn't it be cool when they actually do the other crossover if they had teenage Bucky from that and Damian interact?
Oh, yeah.
I think they both just be like, we're killing everybody.
Yeah.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
Yep.
I don't know. I think if Damien met that version of teenage Bucky, he might be like, dude, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, just kill him. You don't need souvenirs.
Yeah, and then later on, when they do kill some Nazis and he's going to like cut a finger off something, and Fury's like, Bucky, I told you about this.
Yeah.
And he's like, when you become such a wet blanket old woman, Fury.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing, especially in that issue, when Ghost Rider gets knocked off his bike and they're like, oh, there's a tank. So he gets in the tank and essentially turns the tank into like a big Ghost Rider tank. And then you see Bucky on there, manning the machine gun, and just the absolute glee that he has killing Nazis with it. Just amazing. Excuse me. And I guess it was Captain America 14. I don't know the specific issue number, but it's the end of the Winter Soldier storyline when they reintroduced him, that he's able to break the control of the Red Room and escape from them. I thought that was pretty badass because, again, you remember this is about, at that point, what, 50 years, you know, give or take, that he's been, you know, essentially their brainwashed assassin,
Right.
and he's able to escape them and get out on his own. You know, I thought that was incredibly badass. And then, you know, start to kind of piece everything together. And then my last one is from Secret Empire 10, when we had Stevel, who, you know, was
I love Stevel.
trying to take over everything, and Ant-Man shrunk Bucky down and had this little shard of the cosmic cube that he put him in, and put it in the cube that Stevel had in this armor. And he goes in there and finds the real Steve Rogers and essentially pulls him out and pulls the real Steve Rogers back into the real world to go and, you know, save the day and, you know, beat the hell out of this shithead Hydra Nazi version of himself. But it was Bucky that was the one that was able to actually go in there and do that.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, I'll go next if you guys don't mind. I have my three. This is from Falcon and Winter Soldier #2 from 2020. This is where he just wrecks a room of Hydra agents. He goes into a safe house without a single word. He just clean takedowns for precision shots, brute force, and it's what the Winter Soldier does best, you know. And he's like a one-man SEAL team. He just wipes out an entire safe house of Hydra agents. Love it. That was Falcon Winter Soldier #2. My next one is Iron Man number 33 from Volume 4. This came out in 2007, and this is beating Iron Man. Beating Iron Man with, you know, his tech with just pure grit. And during this fight, he's fighting Tony, and he gets in close, and he hits him with an EMP pulse that's like right up close and personal, and it just starts, you know, beating the crap out of him. And Tony goes, "You're not the same Bucky that I knew." And Bucky replies, "No, I'm better." You know, so I'm like, oh, that was pretty badass. And then my last one is not actually a punching moment, but it's a heartfelt moment and part of the redemption stuff. This was in Captain America. From Captain America number 17.
Episode of Captain America.
Very special. Very special. But he's facing his victims' families, and he actually breaks into the home of one of the families, but not to fight, but leaving like an apology letter and evidence that clears that person's name there, you know, so that they, you know, are honored instead of dishonored in the situation, you might say. You know, it's silent, it's painful, you know, but it's more badass than a gunfight. And it's, you know, he's not just a killer, he just owns his past. That's what I feel. All right, J-Dub, you want to go next?
Sure. So first one comes from Captain America Volume 5, number 42. This is from 2008. It's the time Bucky assassinated the Red Skull. So Red Skull is up to his usual Nazi nonsense, except this time his mind is chilling inside of another dude's body.
The Russian guy.
Yeah. Bucky, now he's rocking the Captain America mantle after Steve's death.
Right.
tracks him down, and instead of giving him a big speech or trying to reason with evil, he just shoots the guy in the chest. No hesitation.
Was that Lucan at that point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was no hesitation, no drama, just bam, job done. The reason why I thought it was badass because Bucky isn't Steve. Like, he's not the idealistic symbol. He's the guy that grew up fighting dirty in alleyways and got brainwashed into a Soviet assassin.
And
so
remember, too, even though Cap doesn't generally kill, he will do it from time to time. He's not Superman or Batman. He is first and foremost a soldier, and he will kill from time to time, too. So the fact that Bucky is willing to do it even more than him,
yeah,
I think speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so when the mission calls for a bullet to the chest, he delivers.
Special delivery.
Yep, my next one comes from Wolverine Origin 17 and 18 from 2007, 2008. This is when he took on Wolverine and didn't die. So imagine facing Wolverine, claws out, berserker, rage mode, healing factor going nuts. Most people would be diced meat.
Hey, Boosh.
Hey, Boosh.
It is a badass name.
It is.
Most people would be diced in the meat in 5 seconds, but Bucky, he doesn't flinch. He goes full Winter Soldier on Logan using his metal arms, spy skills, and assassin level tactics. And the best part, he actually gives Wolverine a hard time. They go at it hard in Madripoor, and Wolverine walks away with respecting him. And why I thought that was badass, it's Wolverine and Bucky. And Bucky not only survives, but he holds his own. That takes true grit, and a titanium arm doesn't hurt either.
Very true.
When you're holding your with a titanium arm, you should be very careful.
Yes. Last one comes from Captain America Volume 5, Issue 27 from 2007. This is the escape from S.H.I.E.L.D. and fighting with the Black Widow.
Yes.
So Bucky starts breaking out of his Winter Soldier brainwashing. And what does S.H.I.E.L.D. do? Lock him up. But instead of sulking he pulls off this Jason Bourne style escape, takes down trained agents like they're all mall cops, and goes out of the high security compound. Then later he faces off a Black Widow who knows all of his tricks because they've got history, romantic, spy, you name it. Their fight is brutal, emotional, and super personal. And why I picked that for a badass moment, he's not even fully back to himself yet, and he's running rings around the world's greatest spies. Plus, going toe-to-toe with Black Widow and not losing a limb, that's serious flex.
I like the Mall Cops thing. Like, that could be the next movie, The Winter Soldier versus Paul Blart Mall Cops.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think we knew this. They didn't show these. These were behind-the-scenes things. But whenever they would thaw him out, they would just put the Black Widow in the chamber with him, and that would thaw him out.
Well, that's the reading it. That's the reason they started doing that, because they didn't do the cryo freeze on him at first, but he developed a relationship with Natasha when she was young and in the Red Room, and then to discourage that, they separate him, and that's when they started freezing him between missions.
All right, Uncle Gary, then you're next. What badass moments do you have?
All right. Well, all the badass moments I did as Bucky instead of Winter Soldier, because pretty much everything the Winter Soldier does is badass.
That's what I was hoping for. I was like, someone's got to have just a Bucky moment.
including, well, Dan did, but all three of mine are. But everything the Winter Soldier does is badass, including banging Natasha. So, there you go. All right. So let's start off with the one Dan used. In Hellhunters 3, Bucky, this 15-year-old, was caught taking ears as trophies and was chastised. So here he is. He's taking the ears off of Nazis. So, I just think that's great. He's a vicious little sucker. So, absolutely.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah.
Yes,
He kind of is. He kind of is.
Okay, I take it back. I want him and Pranky.
Oh, there you go. Pranky. God, Pranky.
Imagine both of them just ripping Nazis' ears off and being like, welcome to Hyde Street.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be great. Frankie'd find a little brother in arms. In Captain America White #3, they and the Howling Commandos, Bucky and Cap, were in a transport plane that gets hit by a shell, and the plane is blown up, and they all go into the water. And Cap does not resurface, and and Bucky is, very much, concerned, wants to go get Cap, and Fury says he'll be okay. He'll be okay. There's nothing you can do. It's too far down to go. We need to get to safety. And Bucky will not listen, and he goes down and he dives down and he actually finds Cap, and he can't lift him because of the weight. And Bucky ends up pulling a knife out and cutting, because the shield is heavy. He cuts the shield off of Cap, and he's able to save Cap, bring him to the surface. But he knew how much the shield meant to Cap, but he was still willing to cut it loose in order to save Cap's life. And he does. And Cap Bucky is distraught. He's very distraught over losing Cap's shield, but Cap pulls him in and says, "You made the right choice." And I just think it was really great. Fury and the Commandos, they were on to their mission. They weren't about to try to go save Cap. They thought it was, they thought he was either okay or there's nothing they could do about it. But Bucky would not give up. He would not give up, and he continued. He continued to search for him, and he got him and saved his life. So I just thought that was really, really cool that this kid would do that. And I know in our readings, I'm going to wish that I had put that in that book, Captain America White. And then the last one, this is a generalization. It's badass, but I also want to tie it into real life. Bucky was underage and lied about his age to join the armed forces during World War II. There were thousands of Americans that did the same thing. They were teenagers. They lied about their age, and they joined the military and fought. A lot of them died to serve their country. And that's as goddamn badass as it gets. And so this is like I said, it's a generalization, but for Bucky to do what so many real life Americans did, to risk all for their country and for life and liberty, there's not another badass thing that's more badass than that.
I agree with that. Definitely agree.
And there was one moment in the Winter Soldier movie too, when Cap's fighting him on the bridge and throws the shield at him, and he just reaches out and catches it, and Cap's like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
It's like he knows.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. All right, so for our next segment is critiques and criticisms and what stuff that we do not like. Dan, you want to go ahead first on this one?
Why does he still go by the name Winter Soldier? He had that name that was given to him by the Russians that brainwashed him, used him as a weapon, as an assassin, had him do horrible, heinous acts for decade after decade.
We're in anus acts again?
After decade, and he still goes by the name Winter Soldier. Like, why would you would think that the person would not want to do that anymore. Like, I thought after a while he should have adopted the name Nomad, because that seemed to be much more in character with him, with how he was after they introduced him as the Winter Soldier, when he was kind of not so much, well, I guess kind of on the run, but he didn't it's not like he had a fixed location like all these other superheroes do. So I don't, other than the fact that Winter Soldier sounds cool, there's no way that somebody going through what he did would keep that name.
I like the concept of that. I love the concept of Nomad, but I think there's a fear factor in the name Winter Soldier because he is a boogeyman. So I think there's a part of him, because he is such a badass, that likes the fact that the persona and the boogeyman name of Winter Soldier scares the shit out of people.
It's all about marketing, Come on.
I think it's marketing.
Yeah.
It tested well with focus groups.
Yeah, it's scared the focus group. It's like, I'll be that guy you're afraid of.
Exactly.
But I think I'm with Booze. Yeah, the Nomad name makes a lot of sense, especially with the tie to Captain America.
And with it could be a way for him to honor Jack Monroe, since
he killed him.
One that killed him.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't like when they made after Steve died. I didn't like that they made Bucky Cap. I didn't, I liked him fine. I like him fine as a character, but I didn't think he's the right character to be Captain America. And I'm glad that they didn't do that in the movies, that they just skipped over him.
And it was teased so much.
Right.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
But I'm glad that they skipped over him. And then too, it also seems like the oh, well, thank you, Booze. It also seems like Marvel at this point doesn't quite know what to do with him. Like, they brought him back as a Winter Soldier. Brubaker, had that going for a while in the Cap book and with some
good stuff,
some spin-offs. But since then, he was Cap, and then he's back to being Winter Soldier. He's been the leader of the Thunderbolts a couple times. He's been on the Avengers. He's been the man on the wall. Like, it doesn't seem like they're really sure exactly what to do with the character at this point. Like, sometimes they'll have him team up with like Hawkeye or Black Widow and do some spy stuff, and then other times it's just straight up superhero stuff. And I wish they could just find some consistency with what they want to do with him at this point.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'll go next on this one, and I have to agree. That was my first point. They're not really sure where they're going with him right now. They brought him back. They got him set up really nicely. He's pretty mainstream. So they just don't know where he's going. And also, I hate the domino mask. I don't know. It looks ridiculous to me, I think, But anyhow, that's really all I have for critiques. Damien, how about you?
I gotta agree with Surprise Dan a little bit here. When he's trying too hard to be Steve Rogers, like, no offense to the Cap suit, but Bucky's Captain America felt forced after a while. Not because he wasn't capable. He was badass in it, but because he doesn't believe in the same stuff that Steve does. His best Cap stories are when he's clearly uncomfortable with the role. But when writers try to make him just like Steve, it just doesn't land for me. It just strips away everything unique that is about him. To me, Bucky's not the shining symbol of hope. He's the shadow that protects it from the dark.
Yeah.
So,
Captain America needs to be the one that sets the standard for everyone else, and that's just not who Bucky is.
Well, that's why Sam is a much more worthy successor.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot the other thing. Now he's the Revolution. Like, it's another thing when it's,
Remember when he was the leader of the Thunderbolts?
Yeah,
I do.
And then they have a new Thunderbolts book they just started that's got him as like the leader in that. So I guess the Revolution stuff is out the door now. And again, it's like they can't decide what they want to do with him.
I remember picking that book up because it came out literally right after Winter Soldier came out. They put him as the leader of the Thunderbolts, and it made zero sense.
I read the first issue. I was like, this isn't good. It didn't last very long.
Yeah. All right, Gary, how about you?
Yeah, the same thing. He should have never been Cap. There's a stain on his soul that Captain America, can't have. That's why, and even before that, especially with the retcon we've done where Bucky was a little sociopath and all that, that's not what you want Captain America to be.
Yeah.
That's the dude you want having your back in an alley. Yeah, you want that. But that shining symbol of the nation has got to be somebody with a purer heart. And that's why Sam Wilson is so much more of a successor.
What's up, Richard?
Bucky's an adventure. There you go.
Hey, Richard.
What's up, Richard?
But yeah, so I think that was a mistake to put him there, unless it did tell a story about where he didn't feel worthy to be Cap, and that did make it for interesting story. And if they didn't mean to keep him, if they were only going to temporarily have him as Cap and they had planned to rescind it the whole time, then I guess that's okay. But in the light of telling a story, but to have him as Cap, anything beyond an arc, I think was not a good choice.
There was a
Cap for a couple years.
Yeah,
but there was a one shot where I actually enjoyed it. It was Captain America who wielded the shield after his death, and it really does go into like Bucky's like ideas of what Cap is and what he is, and how he doesn't seem like he should fit the role, but everyone thinks he should be the successor.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is top covers. And Jamie, I've got yours ready. Are you ready to show off your top covers?
I don't even remember what I picked.
All right, well, then there you go.
Nah, I got all the way on the left, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, #1. This is the variant. And like I was saying from my previous, what I didn't like about him, but when I said he's the shadow who protects basically everyone from the dark, this is what I mean. Right there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Next up is the same series, but this is issue 3, another variant. And the reason I love this so much is because just the knife in the background constantly reminds me of that fight from Captain America Winter Soldier. Like when he's just doing the knife tricks, and then I just felt like this is like Bullseye-esque too. He's got all the fittings, and all it is a knife, and it's literally the focal point in the background.
That bridge fight scene was so badass.
Yeah.
The
and
choreography on that was amazing.
I'm trying to remember what the last one I had was from. It was just the Winter Soldier, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a #1. That's a variant. That's a 1 in 50 variant.
Yes, that's the 1 in 50. I was trying to remember.
Delato.
I was like, was that in 125 or is that in 150?
That's 1 in 50. That's a Delato.
Yeah, that's the Delato one.
I almost chose it.
Yeah, and I just love the colors on this. Like, it's dark, but the points it makes where the brightness is on the gun, on his arm, and on the star, like it just shines.
Yep, that's pretty wicked. All right, let's see, Gary. I've got you lined up next. Are you ready?
All right, let's see what we got. All right, so here where I went all Bucky for badass moments, and went all Winter Soldier for these covers, and well, I did get a little Bucky in that one cover, so in the background.
There you
go. So on the far left is Captain America 14, Volume 5. That's Steve Epting. And what I loved about that, the confrontation between the two, Cap and Winter Soldier in the foreground. And in the background, I love the old school. Yeah, he is.
Yeah. That's
the only team that I like Bucky on where it's a large team is the Invaders, kind of like Namor.
And Talking Geek, I do have what you sent me. So if you're going to be in the chat, we can go over that a little bit later. And I really, really appreciate it. And the fellas haven't seen it yet either. But I just love that. And I love the old school Bucky and Cap, even Cap with the old shield with the different coloration on it, on that bike that he has there in the background. The one in the middle is Winter Soldier 14. That's by Daniel Acuna. I just, I love him with the with Black Widow posing there, and and I love the logo superimposed over the map of the U.S. and the hammer and the sickle there. So
looks like it's the United States is bleeding too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of does. And it's just, that looks, that could easily be a movie poster. It looks so cool.
Yeah,
so
it does.
I like that a lot. And then the one on the right, Winter Soldier, #4. It's the great Lee Bermejo, and that is just this kick-ass. Bucky's blown something up, and now he's running to kick your ass, coming right at you. So dig it.
That is awesome. That is awesome. All right, Dan, I got yours next. Are you ready?
Yep.
Go.
Nice.
All right, so all the way on the left, Captain America #11. I actually have that one on the spinner rack beside me. I love how you just see the current day iteration of Bucky stand there looking grim, looking badass. And then in the background, you see a bunch of different drawings of him from World War II. And, you can see the stark difference between them. And then I got 2 Lee Bermejo covers from Winter Soldier 1 and from Winter Soldier 2. I mean, this guy is just an amazing cover artist. On issue 1, you see him, the action pose, and then the star in the background, and then him as Bucky with Cap. And then in 2, you see him with with Black Widow with his arm around her. She's looking deadly and sexy, and whoever it is has got them in their sights. So it's just a couple of really great covers.
Yeah, those are awesome. I like that one with Black Widow the best. I think
Yeah.
that's cool.
Rob Liefeld's jealous of the pouches.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is.
Except,
Yes,
you know, with a character like Winter Soldier, the pouches
Makes
would
sense.
actually make sense because he's, you know, same thing with Cap where you see, you know, in Batman where you see the belts with all the pouches. It makes sense on them because you know that they've got stuff in them that they're going to use.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, here we go with my covers. All right, so let's see. I'll start the one on the far right because I was going through covers and I saw this one. This is the Overstreet comic book pricing guide.
I like that cover.
And
Yeah.
and it just looked awesome. It's in the snow like a graveyard. He's already scoping down somebody, and it just looks pretty badass.
Who did that? Who did that cover?
Don't know. I do not know. I looked this up and I could not
Mm.
find it. I don't know who did it.
Nice.
So-
Al messaged me and he's like, do you think it would be okay to use a price guide cover for it? I'm like, well, as long as people keep buying price guides and acting like their first appearances, I'd say it's okay.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just fine. There have been some. As a matter of fact, this year's price guide is a Joe Jusko Tarzan cover that is an homage to the 5th price guide that had a Joe Kubert Tarzan cover. So I am all for showing the price guide covers, 100%.
Awesome.
Maybe that could be a future showcase.
Well, I don't have every price guide cover.
All right, so for my middle cover, I've got Falcon Winter Soldier #1. I like the perspective of this one as they're like diving down in. Bucky's like lighting up somebody down there, shooting. There's all bullets going all around him, and Falcon looks like he has Red Wing on his shoulder as well. But I mean that just I like that. It screams badass to me.
Mhm.
And if the far left one, this is Winter Soldier #15. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me back up 1 second. Falcon and Winter Soldier. That was done by Dan Mora, and the colorist was I want to say Carell, David Carell. Anyhow, all right. So
DC let Dan Moore take a break to draw a Marvel book.
You're right.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's crazy.
That was a while ago.
Yeah.
So the #1, I'm sorry, the #15 from Volume 1 of Winter Soldier. This was done by Declan Shavley.
Thanks.
and-
Oh, Declan Shelby.
Yeah, Shelby. And Jordi Belair was the colorist on this one. I like this one because it's got, you see the star dripping of the blood down his side there, and you see the people in the background with stars on their faces. Almost look like targets.
Mhm.
Hey,
You know?
hey, Sal, real
Yes.
fast.
Yes.
For that cover for the Overstreet Price Guide was
Yeah.
Butch Geis.
Thank you.
I was wondering if that was Geis, and I didn't throw it out there, but I was like, damn, that looks like Geis. Wow.
I appreciate that. I could not find that anywhere. So
Yeah.
appreciate that, buddy.
No problem. Like I said, I try to do my job.
I have not drawn Winter Soldier. I was going to try and draw something for this episode. I just didn't have time to.
All right. So there are my covers. But before we could jump into our next segment, do you want to see what badass covers for books that we have are given away this month? Do we have that up? Do we have a picture of it?
And Boo says, I sent him a book for when he won
Oh,
a
yeah.
giveaway a while ago, and here's a current giveaway.
Nice.
I can send it to you.
Sure. I'm not sure we didn't upload that. I apologize.
No worries.
But
I
all right, you sent it to me. Do you want me to upload this thing right here?
That's
there we
fine.
go.
But for this giveaway, ladies and gentlemen, you have to go to our socials we're doing something a little bit different this month.
Yeah.
So go check that out because you have so many more chances to enter and win this time.
Right. Let me go ahead and get that up here. Hold on 1 second there. Boom.
Well, Richard, we're not, like Jamie said, we're doing a little different this time. It's something we're going to be doing. We're commenting on the YouTube videos and on the Instagram posts.
Yes.
All right, so we got Astonishing X-Men 1 through 4, Amazing X-Men 1 through 4. This is the Age of Apocalypse offshoots of this, and of course the Adventures of Cyclops and Phoenix 1 through 4. So you get all 3 series, and like we said, check out in the comments or check out in our Facebook page on how to enter to get this set.
And our Instagram.
And our Instagram. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. All right, then. That's for the giveaways. Now we're going to jump into essential readings. Who do I have up first? I have Gary. I got you first for the readings. You ready?
Yep, let's go. Let's see what I
All
pick.
right.
All right. I'm gonna and like I said, I'm gonna have a caveat where I should have. One I wish I had inserted was Captain America White, because it really does tell a great tale of him and Bucky in their early years together by the great Jeff Loeb and the late great Tim Sale. So I was just rereading that today, and I was like, damn, I should have picked that one. So, Captain America White, if nobody has it on their list, I think that's a great choice. So Winter Soldier 1 through 14 was the first big arc, and it was by Ed Brubaker and Butch Guice. That's why that cover looked familiar, that I thought it was Guice. There you go, Richard. I hear that, buddy. It's just a great run. Brubaker, so good. He's so good at crafting these stories that he's done with the Winter Soldier. So I highly recommend that, and that's volume 1. And then Captain America Winter Soldier by Brubaker and Epting. That's when they brought him back. That's when they reintroduced this character, and it was an amazing read, an amazing story, one of the greatest Captain America epics there is. And then the other one was it was just a one-shot. It was an introspective little story of it's the Winter Soldier's First Christmas, where he's coming to grips with all the bad that the Winter Soldier has done. And even though he wasn't at fault in it, he just knows that the stain and the stench of those acts, permeate throughout him. And it's just how he's going to get beyond that, and how he's going to make amends for those things that he's not at fault for, but still haunt him. So I just thought that was a nice introspective little one shot. So those are my picks.
All right. Very good. Let's see who I have next. Dan, I got you queued up. Ready?
Yeah. So, Gary already kind of covered it. The first one, Captain America, the Winter Soldier. That's the Captain America. I believe it's volume 5, issues. It's issues 8 through 14, but really I would say read 6 and 7 as well, because, they're kind of instrumental for introducing that's when he first appears in issue 6, and then setting up the storyline. That's the one that started it all for bringing Winter Soldier back. Then I had Winter Soldier, The Bitter March. It is I think it's 5-issue miniseries. I don't remember the exact issue count, but I'm pretty sure it's 5. And it shows a mission that he was on back during the Cold War, when he's going against a SHIELD agent that's trying to save this former Nazi scientist that Hydra wants to get their hands on for this formula that she's developed, and then the Winter Soldier's going after to get her too. And it's just a really cool story to see him while he was in the midst of being this, and the SHIELD agent talks about it too, how he's, kind of looked at as this like boogeyman, that nobody thinks is real.
Mm.
And then the last one I have is a one-shot, Winter Soldier, The Bitter March. And this one actually also takes place at Christmas time, and it is during the
Bucky's really festive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he is.
And it's during the Civil War, and you see some flashbacks to him when he was younger and when he was in the war, and you see him and Toro and him and Cap and and him and Namor, and see some of their interactions in that when they're getting ready for parties around Christmas, and trying to balance that out with everything going on with the war still happening. And then you see it take place in then current day, where Nick Fury gets him to go do a favor for him to help some of the young Avengers that are going and going to be trying to break into this this secret Hydra base, and nobody knows that Bucky is knows who he is at this point, and they find out, and it's some good interactions between them. And, afterwards he's going to a graveyard and he's talking to the grave of someone, and it's very poignant. And then you see Namor show up too. And, the interactions he has with Namor are really, really good, poignant, but with Namor still kind of being a dick, but you see the respect that he has for them from their time that was served. And, Bucky's asking him some questions like, like about Toro, like, hey, how did he die? What's happened with some of this stuff. And I just thought it was a really great issue of showing what that time of year meant to him when they were younger in the war. And, and showing him come to grips with who he is now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yep.
Ooh, Winter Soldier versus Deathstroke. That'd be a good one.
I think it should be him and Red Hood, but that'd be the even match. But I don't know.
If they made an amalgam of them, would it be the Winter Stroke? Which is what you do when you're stuck inside when the snow's too much?
Yeah.
Death Soldier? I don't know. All right, Jamie, I got yours ready to go. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, you go. Whoops,
Oh, cool.
That's covers. My bad. There you are.
Sweet. All right. So the first one we already kind of covered with Uncle Gary and Dan. It was Captain America Volume 5. So we're going to go on to my next one, which is Winter Soldier 2012. This is the longest winter. This is issues 1 through 14. Bucky takes the lead here. This isn't a Captain America book. It's a Winter Soldier book. And it is good. After taking up the mantle of Captain stepping away, Bucky goes full super spy here. He's cleaning up the mess he left behind from the Soviet past, other sleeper agents who never got deactivated. It's action-packed and cinematic. Let's see. His partnership with Black Widow is absolutely amazing. Brubaker writes Bucky like a man trying to atone, and you feel every ounce of that weight. This series has made me root for Bucky like never before. And then my last one, Tales of Suspense. This is 100 through 104, Red Ledger. This one's for the folks who like Marvel a little bit darker and weirder. Bucky Barnes and Clint Barton, obviously Hawkeye, teaming up in a murder mystery road trip to find out who's killing off former Black Widow agents. There's a chance Natasha's still alive. It's really gritty. It's really sharp. It's got buddy cop banner with two broken men who deal with the grief very differently. It explores how trauma changes people, how spies never really retire, and why Bucky and Natasha's bond goes deeper than most Marvel relationships. It's a short arc. It's only 5 issues, but it does punch above its own weight.
That was a good one.
It was.
Yeah.
That was on my consideration for books too.
And I remember the last page reveal was just like heartbreaking.
Yeah, for sure.
And
All right.
I agree with you, Joe. I like the Bucky and Natasha relationship, and it's a shame that in the MCU we never really got that.
She did wrap her legs around his head.
Yeah.
She did.
So,
But like she talks about how, at one point she had, got shot by him and she's like, no more bikinis. And Cap goes, oh yeah, I'm sure you look terrible in them. But like they didn't have that relationship in the MCU that they did in the comics. And it's disappointing because, it's such a natural relationship with the shared experiences between them. It's a shame that we didn't get that.
All right. Yep. True. All right. So let's go ahead and jump to mine.
Sonny,
Oh no.
the Punisher.
The Punisher. All right. So here we go. I also had the Winter Soldier 1 through 14, so I'm not going to go ahead into that at all. You guys covered that pretty good. I'm going to start off with Captain America Red Menace. This is by Brubaker, and Ed Epstein was the art for this as well. It's got a political thriller meets spy drama. This comes right after the Winter Soldier arc where Steve Rogers discovers Bucky's alive, and he's been turned into a brainwashed Soviet assassin. It focuses on the fallout, both emotionally and politically, and it also is the lead into the death of Captain America storyline. So it plays a crucial role in the larger Brubaker era narrative. It deals with a lot. Bucky deals with a lot of inner conflict on that. He's still on the run. He's trying to figure out who he is, and he's being hunted by Shield. He's being hunted by enemies from his past, and he's even paranoid of his own self type of situation. So I do like this story. It was a good one. You should definitely check that one out. The next one is the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Cut off one head. This is 1 through 5. It came out in 2020. It's Sam and Bucky reunite to investigate a murder tied to Hydra, and it's fun. It's fast paced. It's full of banter, and it reminded me of the chemistry they had in Falcon and Winter Soldier from the Disney Plus series. So it's another spy thriller that meets like an action comedy type of thing. It almost feels like a continuation of the MCU buddy dynamic, which I liked, and it challenges both characters to confront how they're perceived, especially by a new generation. So it's short, but it's tight, and it's perfect for a weekend read, I would say. So definitely check out this. It's only 5 issues, so, and it also has a potential long-term villain called the Natural. So
there you go.
And definitely check that out. All right, so
Got
on to
Robert
our
Redford in it.
yeah,
He was in Winter Soldier, so
the Natural. All right, so let's go ahead then and go with our best writer and artist. And I'll go first with this one. I like Brubaker and Epting. I mean, I'm going to go with that. I know it's probably the obvious choice, but I just couldn't. There was not enough for me to not choose them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that. Dan, how about you?
I mean, when it's the obvious choice, it's obvious for a reason. I also went with Brubaker and Epting. I thought Brubaker did an amazing job finding a way to bring this character back and make it interesting
And make you like them. Yeah.
Yeah, and make you like him, make him an interesting character, and in a way that, like I said, it was always said, oh no, everybody comes back except, or nobody stays dead except for Bucky and Uncle Ben, and then they were like, well, just Uncle
Correction.
Ben.
Correction.
And Brubaker seems to be the only writer that actually, had a clear idea of what to do with Bucky when they brought him back. Like I said, he's changed so many different, things in what he does with Marvel since then. And don't bring back Bucky or Uncle Ben.
Yep.
I guess if Brubaker had been writing Spider-Man, does that mean he would have brought Uncle Ben back?
Maybe.
I don't know. Well, thank you, Dr. Teague.
Oh, Geek, if you're with us on Saturday night, then I'll show what you sent me. So Daniel, I did get your package, so I got it, and I want to do that with the fellas, with you watching. So maybe we can do that Saturday night if you're on, brother. Very good.
Steve Epting for art. I think the gritty style he has really fits well with the way that Winter Soldier is best used. Dark, gritty. Doesn't shy away from action or violence. Butch Geis, whose art is somewhat similar to Epting's, who also worked on some of the solo series that Brubaker wrote too. And then I'd also have to mention Lee Bermejo for doing,
amazing covers,
just amazing Winter Soldier covers.
Right. I wish he did more interior.
Yeah.
Oh, he is just one of those superstar cover artists. Look at what he's doing now.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, I think there's going to be a lot of Lee Bermejo for best cover artist for our award. So, yeah.
All right, so I'm curious. Who do you got?
This character should have never been resurrected. You just can't make it work. Oh shit, they did. Brubaker and Epting. This is one of those. There's really no other choice.
As long as Frank Miller's not drawing him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please God.
Yeah. There's no other choice. There's no other choice for you to bring back. For you to go against cardinal rule and bring back something that that would have been nuts to, and nobody tells a spy tale like Brubaker or a crime story like Brubaker. I don't know if y'all have read an independent book called Velvet that he did. Velvet is the protagonist.
I've heard of it.
The protagonist is a female spy. This is kind of in the late 60s, 70s, and she's getting a little long in the tooth, but she's still at the top of her game. And it is, for our viewers that love strong women protagonists, this is kick-ass. I got Liz turned on to this series, and she loved this book. My wife read this book and loved this book. So nobody does spy or crime stuff like Brubaker. So Brubaker, Epting, I think that's just slam dunk.
Yeah, 100%. All right, J-Dub, who do you got?
Why do I always have to be the inconsistent different one here? I don't understand it. So
Square peg. You're square peg.
I'm going with
See, Liz?
I'm going with Brubaker and Epting.
There you go.
Oh, thought he was going to be the contrarian again for a minute.
Yeah. No. This one, you guys were saying, you can't pick anybody else, especially when the vision's there and it's done so well, and other people pick up the ball and they fumble it consistently. So, like you said, and the art you can't take away. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
Well, and he breathed life into a dead character.
Literally.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, and let's face it, Bucky was a character who was around for a long time, but it's not like before this that he was, he had some moments here and there, but it's not like he was a really top flight character. I mean, you'd have to really go back to the Golden Age Captain America books to see him, that and in the Invaders to see him used frequently.
Right, and he didn't have a real built-in fan base. He was he was just a legendary figure that we knew of, but we weren't emotionally invested in. But he was just like this, honored dead, that we paid homage to, and we knew Bucky through Cap's grief is how we knew Bucky.
Yeah, he was a character that worked better dead than he did alive.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think this goes ahead and wraps this one up. We can go ahead and put it to bed. Thank you guys for your contributions for tonight. Excellent covers, excellent stories. Thank you to our chat guys. You're always here. You're always chiming in. Mm-hmm. We'd love to see that. We'd love chatting with you too. So please stay tuned to us for next week when we cover Two-Face. It's our next character.
Ooh, I did not realize that. Wow.
Yeah, Two-Face is our next character. So there should be some good covers and good stories with that. I got
to put a dent in all that Two-Face reading.
I know. There we
Whereas
go.
Bucky is
a Harvey dent.
A Harvey dent.
Whereas Bucky is a character that has been masterfully portrayed in live action in the movies. Two-Face is the exact opposite of that.
Oh my God.
Was an abomination the way
Tommy Lee Jones should have deserved an Oscar after that performance.
Which is funny because you think, Tommy Lee Jones is Two-Face, that's going to be great, but then it was such a bad movie. And then, in The Dark Knight, he just was on screen for like 2 minutes.
But I enjoyed him in The Dark Knight. I thought it was a great portrayal.
I liked him in that, but he just wasn't in it enough to really.
Well, it wasn't his movie.
Yeah,
it was Harvey Dent's movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was the Joker's movie, but Harvey Dent was much more of a featured player than Two-Face was.
He was trying to put a dent in Joker's movie.
That's right. He did. Thank you, Liz.
Yes, thank you, Liz. Thank you, Richard. Yes, hit that like button, buy Dan Kelly art, and do some push-ups.
That's right, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The meatball sub.
And a meatball sub. Don't forget, also Saturday night, you'll see us all four together again, going over our weekly pools and some back issues that we have gotten. So check us out for Comics Unleashed late Saturday night. I'm Sal the Slab Guy. Down below is Dan Kelly art. Right there is the Ric Flair of comics. Over there is J-Dub, our master builder right there. Thank you guys for watching the Codex Nation's Comic Character of the Week. Have a good night, and we'll see you guys next week.